I spoke to James Roberts of the Heritage Foundation here in Washington, D.C. He has just returned from a trip to Kiev, so I started by asking him how the protests affected his access to goods and services.
Actually, when I was there, there was a lot of tension. I went down to the Maidan, to the Independence Square, and you could certainly feel the tension and things were brewing. But outside of the areas of protest, things were going along pretty much as business as usual, to the extent business is being done in Ukraine, which is not very much, unfortunately. But it wasn't a total crisis situation when I was there, but it got very bad a few days later until the most dramatic events over the weekend. But certainly the people want a better life. The people are demanding that the government stop this headlong, direction toward Putin and Russia and the Eurasian Union, and instead turn toward the West, turn to Europe, United States, and other countries where they can get better markets for their products, more investment. And that's really what I found when I was there. I presented the findings of our Heritage Foundation Index of Economic Freedom for 2014 about Ukraine, which is one of the lowest ranks in the world and is the lowest ranking country in Europe. And the reasons why: corruption, opaque, transparent, lack of transparency on the investment codes, and many other factors that if Ukraine does do a deal with the IMF, those will be the things that they'll be talking about.
Do you anticipate that Russia might actually offer something bigger than even the IMF could offer during this period of time?
If the oil price today is $103, I believe, my understanding is that the Russian state budget requires an oil price of $110. So Putin is going to be squeezed himself. Can he still come up with $15 billion, even if there were a friendly government left in Kiev to take the money? And there isn't. So, of course, the other concern now is one of possible military action or some kind of action in the Russian-speaking majority areas in Crimea and southeast Ukraine where they might be receptive to really splitting apart the country, and that, of course, is a big worry.
Two separate credit ratings agencies have downgraded the Ukraine, and I wonder how that could impact its ability to be a good source, a good applicant, if you will, for an aid rescue package.
Here's a country that is spending 7%, more than 7% of its GDP on subsidizing natural gas and energy for its people so that they don't even know what it's really costing. Terrible distortions in the Ukrainian economy, and that would be the IMF conditionality, of course, that would be what would be putting Ukraine back on the track to getting into better health. But that's going to take some doing, and they're not going to be good candidates for loans in the meantime, except from the international lenders.
What do you think about the possibility of Ukraine being open to energy reform? That's something the IMF is most assuredly going to ask for if they bail out Ukraine.
Certainly would be a wonderful thing to see. They have the possibility of developing new resources with fracking, horizontal drilling, other latest technology techniques that the Russians even have to bring in ExxonMobil and others to develop their own. So that would be something of great promise for Ukraine. In addition, lower energy prices would help the agricultural production. Of course, you have the wealth, some of the richest farmland in Europe, in Ukraine. They could be much better off if they adopted better policies and better forms of governance, both political and economic.